Good morning, maybe good afternoon to everyone. We're going to take our second day of class notes on 10-1 where we're going to be adding, subtracting polynomials, and we'll also review one at the end from the video of yesterday of classifying. Today's class notes are for the 20th, so 3/20. Don't forget your CN and your date. I'll be looking for that if we end up back in the classroom sometime soon. To add and subtract polynomials, it's just combining like terms. But subtraction, you have to take one additional step. You have to, so here's a polynomial. We learned what that means, right? A term, a number, a variable, an exponent, a number, variable, exponent, another term, a number, variable, exponent, another term. So this is a polynomial being subtracted from this. When we subtract, we have to make sure we subtract all of these. So it's like distributing. You take this and you minus the 3x squared. You take this, you minus the negative 5x. So minus a negative, you all know, will become a positive. You have to minus the 8. So first polynomial stays exactly the way it is. X squared plus 3x plus 4. If you hear Quinn breathing, saying hi to my students. And so we're going to subtract 3x squared. Shh, be quiet for mommy, please. Minus a negative 5x. Two negatives become positive, and then minus 8. And after that step, for the subtraction piece, you just combine like terms. So like terms, remember, are same letter, same exponent. Same letter, same exponent. These ones are like. We put them together by adding, subtracting the numbers out front, but we keep the x squared. Keep what's like. It's like a common denominator. We keep that common denominator. So keep the x squared. Don't try to write that as x to the fourth. Keep it x squared and do 1 minus 3, which is a negative 2. Then I look for the linear terms. I have 3x and 8x. Those are like, so we put those together. 3 plus 5 is 8. So plus 8, and we keep what's like. What's like about them is the x. And then I have plus 4 and a negative 8. 4 minus 8 is a negative 4. Different signs, subtract, keep the sign of the bigger. We can't put any of these together. None of these are like. They have different exponents. They are not like. This is our final answer to our first example. When you have addition in between your two polynomials, you're adding the polynomials together. And so we don't have to do that step of making sure we subtract all of them. We just have to make sure we add all of these. First polynomial comes down without parentheses, negative 3x cubed plus 7x minus 5x squared. Second polynomial also comes down without the parentheses, 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 9. And then we just work to put our like terms together. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for the biggest exponent. What's the biggest exponent I see? 3, and I see it in 2 spots. So I put these together, and I have negative 3 plus 3, which is 0. And if I have 0, then I can just kind of cross those out. I don't need those. After 3 comes 2, so these ones both have an x squared. Look at the signs in front, a negative 5, a negative 9, negative, negative. Same signs, add and keep. So add 5 and 4, negative 9x squared. Again, keep what's like. Don't try to change the variable in the exponent. That stays. After the quadratic, we look for degree of 1, or what we call linear yesterday. And so I just have a 7x. None other with just an x. So guess what? That just comes down. Plus 7x. Look and see, and the only other thing I have is a plus 9. So guess what? That comes down. Now, are any of these like? No, because they don't have the same exponent. Therefore, that is my final answer. Don't try to put those together. Third example. We are going to subtract these two polynomials. Why are we subtracting? Because that's the symbol that's in between. The first set of parentheses comes down just the way it is, just like we did in the both examples above. Here we have to make sure that we are subtracting 2x squared, that we are subtracting 4x, that we are subtracting a negative 6. 2 negatives make a positive. And then it's just look for the same exponents. These both have a 2. That's the biggest. I'm also looking for biggest at the same time. These ones are like, put them together, look at the signs in front, positive, negative, you should be subtracting and keeping the sign of the bigger. We get 2x squared. Next terms, linear, linear, anytime I don't see a number, I know it's a 1, so I have a -1 and a -4. Same signs, add and keep. 1 and 4 is 5. Keep it negative and keep the x. After linear, I'm looking for my constants. That's what we called these yesterday. Constant of 1 and a +6. 1 plus 6 is 7. Can we put any of these together? The answer is no. They are not like. They need to have the same letter and exponent. Same letter and exponent, which they do not. Therefore, that's our final answer. That's the new material for today. Now reviewing what we did yesterday. So here's those vocabulary words. Make sure this is not glaring. Classifying by degree, term and leading coefficient, terms, monomial, binomial, trinomial, 1, 2, 3. So you look at 1, 2, 3 and then use the vocabulary word that's over here. Look at the biggest exponent, degree, and then use the word that's here. So we also talked about we need it to be in what's called standard form, biggest exponent to smallest. And I recognize this is not in standard form. So Quinn, be careful, buddy. Now I have to pick all those off the floor. Sorry, guys. Trying to do this while a child is in the food pantry. We need to switch these and write this with the biggest exponent first. So I want the 12x squared first and then the 7x. So this is how I want to look at it when I'm thinking about degree, term, and leading coefficient. Mainly, I put it in this form, especially for the leading coefficient part, because if you don't, you'll give me the wrong number for leading coefficient. Degree, when we put it this way, we can clearly say, okay, biggest exponent's 2. When the biggest exponent is 2, we use the word quadratic. So I write down quadratic. And then I look and say, okay, terms was number, variable, exponent, number, variable, exponent. This is a term, and this is a term. There are 2 terms, and when I see 2 terms, I use the math vocabulary word binomial. Binomial. Oops. And then leading coefficient, like we talked about yesterday, is the first number that you see when you have it in standard form. Or it's the number that you see with the biggest exponent. So if you're not going to switch the order, you got to look at, okay, here's the biggest exponent. Here's the first number in front. That's a 12. My leading coefficient is 12. I hope that's clear, and I hope you guys have a great spring break. Enjoy next week off, and we'll either be back in the classroom or back to watching these videos and trying to do some work. Have a great week, guys. See you later. Bye.